People say Abyssinians are wild, too intense, too unpredictable, too much for a normal home. They passed that idea around like a fact, whispered it like a warning, even when it was never anything more than a story. Copper and Slate had been sitting in that shelter for 127 days when we found them, 127 days of weekends, 127 days of families walking past, and not once, not a single time did anyone stop at their cage. People say Abyssinians are wild, too intense, too unpredictable, too much for a normal home. They passed that idea around like a fact, whispered it like a warning, even when it was never anything more than a story. When we adopted Copper and Slate, they had already been sitting in that shelter for 127 days, 127 days of weekends. Families would come in, kids pressing their faces to the glass, fingers pointing at the fluffy ones, the round-faced ones, the kittens that tumbled over each other and made everyone laugh. Nobody pointed at Copper and Slate. Copper would sit at the front of their shared cage, completely still, those large amber eyes tracking every single person who walked past. Not aggressive, not demanding, just watching, like he already understood that most people would keep moving. Slate sat just behind him, a little darker, a little quieter, his ears turned forward like he was listening for something the rest of us couldn't hear. Together, they looked like two small statues carved out of the same warm stone. We almost walked past them too. But something made us stop that day. Maybe it was the stillness. Maybe it was the way Copper didn't flinch when I pressed my hand to the cage door. He just leaned forward, slowly, and touched his nose to my fingers. I can't fully explain it, and I will never stop being glad that we stayed. The shelter worker was kind but honest. Abyssinians are a lot, she said. They need stimulation, they need attention. Most people underestimate them and bring them back. She paused. These two have been here since April. It was August. Everyone we told had opinions. Are you sure that's a good idea? They look like they belong in the wild. Aren't those the ones that never calm down? We heard it from friends, from family, from a coworker who once owned a cat for 3 weeks before rehoming it and somehow felt qualified to advise us. We adopted them anyway. And from the very first night, Copper and Slate proved that every single one of those opinions was wrong. What they had was not wildness. What they had was presence, an almost overwhelming desire to be near us, to understand us, to be included in every small, ordinary moment of the day. Copper followed me from room to room like a shadow with copper-colored fur. Not needy, not frantic, just there, steady, certain that wherever I was going, he belonged there too. Slate was different, but equal. He would find the highest point in whatever room we were in, the top of the bookshelf, the back of the couch, the window ledge, and watch over everything from above like a small self-appointed guardian who had decided this apartment was his responsibility. They had rituals I hadn't taught them. Every morning before I had even opened my eyes, Copper would sit beside my pillow and wait, not pawing at me, not making noise, just sitting, patient as stone. And the moment I stirred, his purr would begin, low and warm, like something that had been running all night, just waiting for me to be awake enough to hear it. Slate's ritual was different. Each evening, without fail, he would bring one small toy, always the same crinkle ball, always just one, and leave it directly in front of the door before I came home. I don't know when he started doing it. I only know that for 847 evenings in a row, it was there. There is something that happens inside of you when you realize an animal has built its life around your rhythms, something quiet and enormous at the same time. But not everyone saw what we saw. Visitors would come in and pause at the door. "They look so serious," someone said once, laughing nervously. Another person spent an entire dinner with their feet tucked up on the chair, convinced that Slate watching them calmly from the bookshelf meant something threatening. I watched Copper walk over to that same person, sit down directly in front of them and stare up with those wide amber eyes, not aggressive, not demanding, just making himself available, waiting to be chosen. The person looked away first, and I thought, he has been doing this his whole life, waiting to be chosen, and people keep looking away. If you're still watching but haven't subscribed yet, honestly, that sits with me. Hit that button now. There is so much more of their story still ahead, and I don't want you to miss any of it. It was around month 4 that everything shifted. My sister came to stay with us for 2 weeks. She had never owned a cat. She had, in fact, spent most of her life mildly afraid of them. Something about the unpredictability, she said, the way they moved too quietly, the way you never quite knew what they were thinking. She arrived with her guard up. She was polite about it, the way people are when they're trying not to show they're uncomfortable. She kept her distance the first day. Copper noticed. Of course he noticed. He always noticed. He didn't push. He didn't didn't follow her the way he followed me. He simply existed near her, on the couch arm while she watched TV, at the foot of her chair during breakfast, in the hallway just outside the bathroom door when she was brushing her teeth. Never touching, never demanding, just present, just there. On the third day, she reached down without thinking and rested her hand on his back. He didn't move. He just lowered his head slightly and kept purring. She looked up at me with an expression I didn't have a word for. "He's been waiting for me to do that, hasn't he?" she said. It wasn't really a question. Slate chose her differently. Slate always did things differently. One evening, she was sitting alone on the couch, reading, and I watched from the kitchen as Slate climbed down from his shelf, slowly, deliberately, the way he did everything, walked across the room and jumped up beside her. He didn't curl into her lap, he simply sat beside her, close enough that his side was pressed against hers, and looked at the wall, like they were keeping each other company, like he had decided, without any ceremony, that she was part of the household now, and that was that. She didn't move for a long time. She just sat there with a dark Abyssinian pressed against her side, and I could see from across the room that something in her face had changed, gone soft in a way it hadn't been before. By the end of the 2 weeks, she was calling them by name in the same tone I used. She was leaving the crinkle ball closer to the door so Slate wouldn't have to carry it as far. She sent me a message 3 days after she flew home that just said, "I miss them." I didn't expect that. There's a moment I keep coming back to. It was an ordinary Saturday afternoon. Nothing special about it, just gray light through the windows, the particular quiet of a weekend with nowhere to be. I was lying on the couch and both of them had settled around me. Copper along my side, his head tucked just under my chin, Slate stretched across my legs like a warm, breathing blanket. I stayed still for a long time, not because I had to, because I wanted to. This was the cat the shelter had warned us about. These were the animals everyone said were too much, too wild, too intense, too difficult for a normal home. And here they were, 127 days of being passed over, 127 days of watching family after family walk past, and never once stopped offering themselves to every person who came through those shelter doors. They never gave up, not once, not on the 40th day, not on the 90th, not on the morning of the 127th when we finally stopped. That kind of persistence isn't wildness. That isn't too much. That is one of the bravest things I have ever witnessed. They showed me what it looks like when an animal decides you are worth showing up for, every day without being asked, without any guarantee that you will ever really see them back. No contract, no promise, just a choice made quietly and completely, and then kept. I think about my sister, who flew home after 2 weeks and sent me a message that said, "I miss them." I didn't expect that. She had spent most of her life afraid of cats. Copper and Slate didn't know that. Or maybe they did, and they simply decided it didn't matter. They showed up for her the same way they showed up for everyone, with patience, with stillness, with that particular Abyssinian certainty that if you just wait long enough, the person in front of you will eventually let you in. And she did. We all did. There is something I have learned from living with these two that I don't think I could have learned any other way. Love is not always loud. It does not always announce itself. Sometimes it's a nose pressed gently to a cage door. Sometimes it's a crinkle ball left in exactly the same spot night after night, long before anyone ever thought to say thank you. Sometimes it's a cat pressing his side against a stranger on a couch and simply staying there, saying nothing, asking for nothing, just refusing to let you feel alone. That is not wildness, that is devotion, and there is nothing in this world that looks quite like it once you've seen it up close. If you're thinking about adopting, especially a breed that carries a reputation, especially one that's been sitting in that shelter a little too long, please don't walk past. Those are so often the ones carrying the most love, the ones who have been waiting the longest, the ones who have the most left to give. Because love doesn't always look the way we expect it to. It doesn't always come soft and obvious and easy to understand. Sometimes it comes with amber eyes and satellite dish ears and a crinkle ball left by the door every single night, just to let you know, I was here, I was waiting, I chose you. Do you think we choose our animals or do they choose us? Drop your answer in the comments. I'd love to know what you think.